I drove over 3,000 miles to get here. I'm here at Eevee's in Vancouver, BC, where we're going to be trying out the Leaperkim Veteran Sherman L. Hey, thanks for joining me on Wheel Good Time. Today we are here at Eevee's, and I'm joined by, I'm actually the very special guest of Eevee's. This is a special. Here we have Gabe.
Hi.
And we have the most anticipated EUC of 2024 and quite possibly 2025, the Leaperkim Veteran Sherman L. So tell me what your initial thoughts were about this wheel.
My first impressions of it is, so like as our Lynx rider, I really like the ride feel of the Lynx. And this feels pretty much just like it with the extra added weight. So it's a little bit more, I guess heavy in terms of the turning, but acceleration wise, it's like pretty much the same.
I agree with you on that. It does seem like it is in many ways a heavier Lynx. A question that I was planning on asking, but we can just discuss it now.
Sure.
I've been looking so much, and I've been asking Leaperkim myself. I've been asking the employees of Leaperkim. I've been asking other dealers, is the motor the exact same as the Lynx? They're both 3,200 watt motors, but some people have said that it has thicker copper windings or something. I haven't gotten an answer for that. You guys haven't gotten an answer for that.
Nope.
But if I had to guess, I think they're the exact same motor. And that's not a bad thing, in my opinion.
I'm inclined to believe that too. In the initial get-go, it feels a little bit less responsive than the Lynx, but I think that's just because it's a little bit heavier. It feels just like it has extra inertia, and I guess with the same motor, that makes sense.
But only like 12 pounds worth of extra inertia, so it's
and then, like,
almost imperceptible.
once it gets going, then like when you're moving, when you're accelerating or decelerating, it feels pretty much identical to the Lynx, which is kind of freaky.
Absolutely. Yeah, and Jack from Electric Dreams, love the channel. He was saying that the tire, the TNT stock tire on the Sherman L is not awesome. What are your thoughts on that tire?
I don't think it's not awesome. I mean, hearing what you're about to say about it and like Bradley's opinions of it, who both love it. I like it, although there is another street tire that I like more than it.
I love the tire.
I completely agree. The tire is outstanding. Being that I'm someone who rides my Lynx with a Shinko 244, it's a trail tire, and it's better than the Kenda 262 in terms of stability. But then the TNT is just next level in terms of how stable it is. Personally, I fell in love with it.
Yeah, it's really stable at speeds, and I like how it pops out of turns quite easily. Oh, you got the mic right there. I just want to give a quick cameo. When you read it to your review as well, you're going to laugh at me coming in at the tire segment.
It's great, though.
Yeah, it is a great tire.
What tire segment? It's the whole video.
Practically, I'm just talking about the tire the entire time. But
The name of this video, the best tire in history.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason to change it out. If you're a street rider primarily, this is, in my opinion, the one to get and the one to keep.
I think it's an amazing stock street tire as well. Now, I prefer I've been riding around a bit on the, CSD 6501 tire. And I think I like that just a little bit more. It's got a bit more of a rounded profile at the edge. So you got a bit more edge surface and it's a bit more pointy in the middle for a lot of nimbleness. But I think when it comes to stock tires, this is one of, if not the best stock street I've ridden on.
So being that you're quite possibly the most experienced person in North America on the Sherman L and a Lynx owner, how would you say the torque compares to the Lynx?
I think like when it comes to like pure torque, I haven't done any like steep climbs or hill tests or anything pushing the limits of its ability and like cutting out on a hill or something like that. on the couple of hills that I have, steep hills that I have ridden up on, I, I didn't even, I was speechless. It was like too effortless to note anything.
Right. It's
You
absolutely
just did it. Yeah.
effortless, without a doubt. In my opinion, I think the difference between the Sherman L and the Lynx in terms of torque is imperceptible.
Yeah.
So would you say that this is a just longer range version of the Lynx?
Yes. I think it's just a Lynx with a bigger battery, and I think that's all it needs to be.
That's
Yeah.
fair. I think that there were a lot of people that were a bit disappointed
Yeah.
that it has only a 3200 watt motor,
Yeah.
but the Leaperkim just does some real magic with their
Mhm.
firmware that utilizes every bit, every watt
Yeah.
that's inside that motor and every volt that it's just better than their competitors, where someone may have a 4000 watt motor, for example, but they don't use it as effectively or as efficiently. And so this just feels like more of a complete package.
Totally. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think a lot of times because of that factor, it really depends on like the firmware or motherboard used, but just relying on pure motor watts can be pretty misleading sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So with the trolley handle being a bit redesigned on the Sherman L, this one is pretty similar to the Sherman S. What are your thoughts on the trolley handle?
Oh, I love it. No complaints there. I had a lot. I hated the Sherman S original trolley handle.
Did you?
Yeah, with the weird fishtail grip design. And then they did come up with a refresh version with like an actual handle, but it
Right.
was still plastic and kind of bendy. So they've made this out of just solid metal.
It's got a little bit of play, but it's
Little
not
bit of
bad.
play, yeah, it's not bad.
And it's super light, being made out of magnesium alloy.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's super nice. But I think that may also be a slight hindrance when it comes to seated riding. What do you think about that?
Yep. Can definitely feel this bar going up the middle of my butt. And like these two things kind of poke at you. You know, it's one of my biggest complaints so far has been that they don't include a seat with it. It's a long range cruising wheel. Kind of want a seat to sit
For
during
sure.
your long range cruises.
Yeah.
So it would have been nice. I know Beidou is coming up with his seat. I might take a crack at designing my own seat, so maybe stay tuned for that. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, you know, it's okay to sit on. Like it's still nice, a nice flat top, but yeah, a seat would be nice.
Yeah, I think a seat would be an important thing, but also because of the design of the trolley handle, it's putting a seat on there would potentially interfere with holding onto this.
Yeah, like you need space for your hand to go there, and you would need space for your hand to grip. So having a seat that's flush with the handle would be a bit hard. You need a gap there.
Right.
Or I think Beidou's design is going to be flipping up from the back.
Just like
Yeah.
the patent
Yeah, it's
seat
like the
design.
patent, yeah.
Yeah, and I really like that one. So as far as seated riding is concerned, yes, it does need a seat in my opinion. But even without a seat, I felt that it was fairly comfortable.
Yeah.
It seems to me like you think that it's kind of a B minus, if you will, in terms of seated riding.
Yeah.
Is that a accurate thing?
I'd say so.
Okay. Yeah, but I think that seated riding is pretty decent, but it will be dramatically increased. Your experience will be dramatically increased with a seat, especially a nice floofy tall one, if you ask me.
That's like the difference between comfortably seated riding for 10 kilometers versus 100.
So what kind of range would you expect to get with the Sherman L, with both more spirited riding and with more subdued riding?
Right. So when I was testing this wheel out, I took it out, basically just rode it home to work and back, which is a 20-kilometer ride. One of those days I took it out for longer. I managed to get 151 kilometers with relatively spirited riding. I'd say like my normal cruising speed ranged between like 40 and 60 to 70 kilometers an hour with some fun boosts up to around like 85. So I was actually surprised to get that much with the type of riding I was doing. And I think with more conservative riding in the 30 to 40 kilometer an hour range, you could look to maybe get up to 180 and 190.
That's
Maybe.
impressive.
Um,
Especially for a 102-ish pound wheel. You're looking at pretty impressive amounts of range for
Yeah.
the weight that it is.
Definitely. Also, like my experience riding a Lynx, I do still get a bunch of range anxiety, and just like riding for that 20-kilometer trip to work, looking down and seeing that I haven't lost any bars of battery is just amazing.
It's nice, yeah.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the build quality of the Sherman L?
Good.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think it's identical to the Lynx in many
Yeah.
ways in terms of the quality,
Mhm.
maybe a step up.
Yeah. I mean, I think ever since the Sherman S, definitely the patent, and then definitely moving on to the Lynx, they've really solidified their build quality. And I mean, I can't really say of anything for that have improved. There's definitely nothing that's gotten worse. But yeah, they just have a really good formula going on. They're sticking to it.
Something that I noticed that I really, really liked about this wheel is a lot of people don't like the toe locks that
Mhm.
are on the Lynx.
Yeah.
And I mean, I personally like it, but
I love
some people don't.
Yeah.
And with the Sherman L, you can actually remove this without having to, say, 3D print your own parts to cover up the blank
Oh,
spots and
yeah,
whatnot.
yeah.
So you can just
'Cause
take off
this
these toe
this
locks.
bumper is already there.
Right.
This is just yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that was a really nice touch that they did.
I think my favorite thing about the toe locks is that all of the toe locks are compatible throughout patent Lynx Sherman L.
Yes.
So you can just get the same accessory. Like if I run the toe locks from Nylanove, there's also you can get them from Grizzla or anybody else making custom toe locks, and you don't have to get a specific one for just the Sherman L or for the patent or the Lynx.
Mhm.
Just the same one works through all of them.
Let's talk about off-roading on the Sherman L. This wheel is designed for street riding, but how does it perform on the trails and jumping?
Now, I haven't taken it on any trails yet, but I have taken a Master Pro on trails, and that was fairly unpleasant. It's just like having so much weight to swing around, you're a lot less nimble. It takes a lot more effort. You get tired quicker. Now, this would definitely do better than a Master Pro on the trails. I guess one thing I can compare it to is a Sherman S. I've taken that on the trails, and yeah, it felt sluggish, but mostly because of the lack of responsiveness. This makes up for it by being just like a Lynx in terms of responsiveness. So I'd say in that regard, it would be nice, but still just having so much weight to fling around. And I did take it to a jump park. And I don't know. I guess the weight is a double-edged sword because it's nice to have a lot of momentum to carry into the air, but then also it's so much harder to correct if you mess up.
Right.
Because if you land at just the wrong angle, it takes that much more effort to swing it back to where you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that with the stock street tire that comes on the Sherman L, it would not be a great idea to do a ton of trail riding.
Yeah, no.
It just doesn't give you that level of flickability that you'll find with a knobby tire.
And also, like, you won't have the grip. If you
Absolutely.
brake too hard, you'll just spin out. If you take a corner too fast, you'll just get sent outside. Like, yeah.
Let's talk about the brand new acceleration assist mode, or
Yes.
Thora mode if you look at the screen. Can you describe for me, in the best way you know how, what is the acceleration assist?
Okay, I've been thinking a long time about this and how to put it into words because it's hard and I'm still probably going to mess it up. But a lot of people, their initial reaction to acceleration assist was just that it's another pedal softness mode. Because pedal softness, when you accelerate or put in an input, it lets the pedals dip forward. If you have hard pedals, they just stay flat. Similar effect with acceleration assist. On initial observation, you'll notice that with the acceleration assist low, the pedals will stay flat. When you accelerate, or if you put it at a higher setting, the pedals will dip. But it's a little bit different in the sense that, acceleration assist, and depending on the amount you set it at, kind of limits the angle at which it dips forward. With pedal softness, it will always give you leeway and dip when you accelerate and put inputs into it. And another difference is that acceleration assist is more slow acting. Over the course of a long acceleration, it'll slowly dip forward, whereas pedal softness is more of an impulse reaction that's quick and then rebounds back to center.
Right.
So I guess as an overall descriptor, I'd call it I'd liken it more to adaptive pedal angle. So you know how in a wheel you can set the pedal angle that it's at. If you set it at a forward angle, it helps with acceleration, but it makes braking tricky. If you set it at a backwards angle, it does the opposite. It's harder to accelerate, but easier to brake. I think acceleration assist kind of does that for you and gives you the forward pedal angle when you're accelerating and when you need it to, and then brings it back for when you need to brake.
You know, I think I agree with you on all that. And it's just such a hard thing to quantify and put into words.
Of course, they haven't given any official word on it either, so it's just up to us to like figure it out.
I don't think it's even fair to really call it acceleration assist because it also will happen for braking as well.
I think they did call it acceleration and braking assist, but everybody calls it acceleration assist.
Okay.
Yeah. I think in like a text message to Albert, they said acceleration and braking.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I would liken the acceleration and brake assist mode to be something like a rocking chair mode, where to me, I generally prefer to ride with softer mode pedals, but this makes it so you can ride it in a higher pedal hardness setting if you have the assist turned up, but it makes it even, how do I say this? Boy, this is tough. It's kind of like a dead zone, if you will, where if you have your pedals all the way completely hard at 100% and also have the assist at 100%, you can accelerate dramatically faster with that on, with harder pedals. But I did not find that to be the case with very soft pedals. I just felt like I was able to lean further, and I felt like practically like I was going to be going over the wheel in a way. But I didn't measure my speed tests when comparing the two.
Okay.
And you described it as wet noodle mode.
Wet noodle. Yeah. So like one prank I like to play on all my friends now is to set the acceleration assist to 100 and set the pedal softness to 0 and tell them to get on my wheel, and then it's just floppy completely.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is kind of in a way a wet noodle mode, but it's not a bad thing. Trust me, it's not a bad thing.
It's like a surprisingly controlled wet noodle.
There you go.
Yeah.
Al dente.
Yes. I think another way to describe the acceleration braking assist is like, so I set my hardness up to 100%, so that doesn't move. When I think it's like changes what 0 is when it comes to the level. Like if with acceleration assist off, hardness 100%, when you're leaning, the pedals just say flat, and that's 0. I think with acceleration assist to 100, as you're speeding up, it sets that 0 at a forward angle. So again, kind of going back to the adaptive pedal lean thing.
I also found that when I have my pedals set to be super hard, but have the assist all the way up, I'm able to lean forward just a degree or 2 degrees or so, and then that's when it kicks in the motor.
Like it leans and then it just stops.
You have this dead zone briefly, and then it's like, okay, now I'm going to accelerate, and you're going to be doing it a lot faster at a faster rate than you would be otherwise, not having that little bit of extra play involved.
Yeah.
If nothing else, even if you don't use it, the nice thing is it's available on the Lynx. I believe it's going to be coming out on the Patton and Sherman S as well. So. But it adds yet another layer of customizability to your ride, as opposed to just having 3 settings, soft, medium, and hard, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
So I really like the extreme level of customizability, but it is not fair to say that it is a split ride mode by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
It's not a brake assist level here, and then it's going to be acceleration assist here. It's just a percentage amount, 0 to 100%.
And I wish they did that, and I hope they bring that in the future.
That'd be nice.
But yeah, that would be really nice. We put in so many great words, but I still feel like there's more that can be used to describe this feature. I don't know.
But they're just so hard to find.
Yeah.
Unless Leaperkim actually communicates with dealers and the rest of the community and tells us exactly what it does and how it works.
I wish the code was like open source or somebody, so somebody knowledgeable in coding could go in there and look at it and look exactly what the mechanics are. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice, Leaperkim? Another awesome feature that is in the Sherman L that's also coming to some other Leaperkim wheels is the Hall sensorless function. Now, granted, it does have a Hall sensor, but once you disconnect it, it can ride indefinitely, although not quite as awesome. It can ride indefinitely and get you home without having any Hall sensor whatsoever. That said, personal opinion time, would you say this is the safest EUC ever made?
I think so. I'd say so. Yeah.
I mean, after all, Leaperkim does not have a history of EUC fires that like some other brands, pretty much every other brand has had.
Yeah.
So we have a lack of fire history on Leaperkim wheels.
Yep.
There have been a few cutouts, especially with Lynxes, but
a lot of those were sticky button issues, though, wasn't it?
Sticky button issues, electromagnetic interference,
right? Yeah,
and that's another thing that was addressed in the Sherman L as well. So that's something that I think that, of course, we will see over time. But the Sherman L very well may be the safest EUC ever made.
Yeah. No, Leaperkim has been going up and up when it comes to safety. Like with the Lynx, they added the smart BMS, and they actually did have a version of like the Hall sensorless driving feature on the Lynx, where if the Hall sensor was detached when you were riding, it would still be able to carry you until you come to a stop. Now with the Sherman L, and they're going to be pushing this out, you'll be able to even like come to a stop, start from a stop without a Hall sensor, and just ride normally, which is pretty crazy. And I think that does make it the safest EUC now.
That's awesome.
And I think, the coolest thing about that is it's firmware. Any EUC could have that feature if the company is dedicated enough to program that.
Yes, the fact that they're putting this into all their older models eventually, it means that it is indeed possible for other EUC manufacturers to do the same. All they have to do is program it the right way, find the right firmware wizardry, and get it done. Well, that's all the questions that I have about the Sherman L. Thank you so much. This was not a day that Gabe was initially planning on coming in, so I am extremely grateful. This has been a wheel good talk. I couldn't resist.
You had to. Yeah.
If you guys are thinking about getting the Sherman L, please check out the video description below. It's a link to Eevee's website where you can learn more about this extremely high-performance electric unicycle. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.